We're going live now. All right, we're on live on Google Meet and we're live on Substack. Um, Hello, everybody. I'm Leon Jr. This is my good friend Alex P. or Alex Ponciano. Tonight we're going to be having a real estate discussion um, on multifamily property and my friend's journey. Um, you know, through real estate, his real estate journey, and also his move out of NYPD into like full time real estate investing and other things. Okay, what's going on? What's going on, Alex? How you doing, bro?
Hey, doing well, man. Thanks. Can't complain. Having a good time.
Good, man. That's good. It's good to see you. It's good to see everybody on the line. Good to see everybody on Substack and also on Google Meet. So
Awesome.
we're just gonna have a conversation tonight, bro. How'd you let's get into it. How'd you get started in real estate? What opened up your mind to real estate investing?
Yeah, for sure. Uh, Hello everyone out there, joining. So thanks for joining, and yeah, look forward to sharing my what I got going on. Uh, how did I get started? So it all started when I was in the NYPD, just like you were back in the day. Out in the streets, doing our thing, protecting those lives in the city of New York. But it's just I started talking to some of the veteran guys, some of those guys that are more experienced on the job, 20, 25 years on. And every time I asked them, hey, why are you still on the job? Why are you still working? And every single one of them had the same response. And they were all telling me that they still got to pay for their mortgages. They still got to pay for the children's school education. They still got bills to pay.
Mm,
And going into retirement, if they did that, their pension was not enough to live off. So then they would have to find another job. So instead of doing that, they just rather stay on the force and continue working a few more years. And in my head, I'm thinking, wow, 20, 25 years. I thought living off a good government city pension was enough, but hey, it wasn't for those folks. So I just saw myself. I saw myself on that same track. If I continued, and I was like, I got to change this up. I can't do this. And so then I started looking into how do wealthy people become wealthy, right? What sets them apart? How do they become successful? And I realized in my research and doing that, I realized that there's two ways to get there. And it's one of them is through businesses or business owner, and the
mhm.
second way is through real estate. And so that's where my real estate venture began once I figured that out.
Got you. Got you. Okay. Okay. Is there any books or anything that you can tell the people to maybe study up on that you read that kind of helped you to introduce you to real estate? Or were you listening to podcasts, or how did you get started growing with your real estate portfolio?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, once I realized that I wanted to get into real estate and wanted to learn and understand how do you become wealthy via real estate, then I started doing some research as to what do I need to read up on, what do I need to study, how do I learn this, and everything kind of led back to a book that I started reading was called Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki. That was that book is not a real estate book. It's just more of a mindset book, right? Just setting your mind right and to prepare yourself for what the journey is to come, right? Just understanding what an asset is versus a liability, understanding what wealthy is versus not wealthy, understanding what having a job is versus somebody who's an entrepreneur, right? Different avenues, different aspects, and just having a different perspective or point of view. So that book was really helpful in expanding that mindset and kind of seeing the view from a different lens in that aspect. So that was a great book. And then from there on, real estate podcasts. All right, bigger pockets. Of course, I'm sure if you're anywhere
Yeah.
into real estate, that's where you start off. For most people, back when Brandon Turner was on Bigger Pockets, so I started listening to a lot of those podcasts while I was driving home from work. Right, I had long commutes from where I had to go in, start work to going home. So I would just listen to those podcasts. Read a lot of books, just real estate investing books, different types, different titles. There's so many out there, and it's just that was really what got me, going and started learning and then just going to different networking events and talking to people who were already into real estate as well.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you run us through, or can you tell the people about, maybe your first deal, or how'd you get your first deal? Did you do a FHA? Did you do 20% down? How did you get into your first deal, and what were the terms?
Yeah, for sure. So I would like to say that I started my first deal unknowingly when I purchased my primary condo. And
Mm,
this opportunity kind of came up. I was living at home with my parents, and I was just saving money because I knew I wanted to get into real estate. And I had an opportunity that came up that's usually pretty rare. And the opportunity was just I applied for a housing lottery. Uh, and the housing lottery was to purchase a condo, and you know, I didn't think anything of it when I applied, but
mhm.
then fast forward, I think it was like a few months or maybe a year later, I got contacted and they told me that they reached my number. I was number 7 in the lottery, so I was like, "Oh, that's pretty
Wow.
good." But at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm like, "I'm number 7. I don't really know where that's gonna take me." But yeah, they reached out, they called me, they said, "Hey, we have this unit available." It's so the lottery was for, um, it was income based. Depending on how much income you made, that lottery or that house was allocated for income based purchase, right? Depending on the person. So at the time, I was just brand new in the NYPD. I just started. I was still a rookie, making rookie pay. So I had that opportunity co- to qualify, and when I went to go tour the property, I was like, "Oh, this is a really small unit. It's a not a studio. It was a 2 bedroom, but it was a 800 square foot of apartment condo, like in Westchester County." And I was like, "I don't know if I really want to take this because it's a little small." Uh, but my girlfriend at the time, she told me to no, just make it happen. You
Yeah.
don't know this opportunity just came about. Not everybody gets this, so I think she advised me to move forward with it. I was like, all right, fine, let's make it happen. I don't know where it was going to lead me at that point in time, but I was like, let's make it happen. So that purchase was opened a lot of doors for me later on, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So I bought that. That was my primary condo. I did conventional 5% down. At the
5%
time,
down, nice.
yeah, at the time, Citibank had a program. It was called the Home Run Program, and what they
Mhm.
do is they provide assistance to get you a conventional loan, but with no PMI, with 5% down, right? Because maybe, most conventional loans, if you do anything less than 20%, there's PMI attached to it. But with the Citibank Home Run Program, you can get a conventional loan, put less than 20% down, and also have no PMI attached to it. So that was a big,
Mhm.
big deal there. So yeah, my first purchase was a primary conventional home loan. I would recommend anybody who's looking to purchase their first home, just look at those different programs. There's a lot of banks, a lot of lenders, a lot of state programs that offer assistance and grants for first time home buyers. Okay. So just look for those opportunities out there. Lenders tend to waive a lot of fees or give you those certain stipulations, right? Allow you to not pay PMI in my case, or maybe offer grant assistance or cover the closing costs for others, right? So there's a lot of lenders that are willing to work with you to help purchase a home and get you in there. So yeah, that was my first purchase.
Got you. Okay. All right, cool. So conventional 5% down. I think that's how a lot of investors, start off. They start off with either FHA, or they start off with a conventional, and they live in their property, and then they grow from there, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we did. My wife and I, we did, FHA, house hack. So you live on the top, you rent the bottom out, and then you get started on your real estate journey from there. So I wanted to get into, how many how many years did you do with NYPD, and what made you decide? What clicked in your mind to make you decide to be like, "All right, I've had enough of this. Let me dive deeper into real estate," or let me move on to the next level. What clicked in your mind?
Yeah, so I did a total of about 6 years with the New York City Police Department. Within the first 2 years, I was, I thought I did land my dream job, right? Ever since I was young, I wanted to be a cop. So I was pretty ecstatic when I found out that I was, going to the academy, becoming a police officer, and accomplishing that dream. So that was it. Once I graduated, I was like, "Yep, here I am. I made it. I'm going to be here for the next 20 years. Retire out of here. It's going to be fantastic." Yeah. 2 years in, 3 years in, reality kinda kicked in a little bit.
Yeah,
There was a lot of different climates going on with the police department and the public and the community, and just a lot of situations, right? It was very boiled, a lot of things going on back and forth. And so I was there, on a street corner one night. I got assigned to a lot of different posts. I would be taken off from patrol and go to a different precinct or sent to somewhere else. I had to do a lot of overtime. I had to do a lot of back to back days, no days off sometimes, and just working, especially during a very high tension area where there was a lot of protests going on in the city. So all of that, right, was a combination of like, wow, what am I doing? This is pretty bad. Like, this is not fun. I'm working a lot
right.
of hours. I don't have a quality of life here. So I was a single guy at the time, and I was just like, I can only imagine some of these cops, of these guys, these
Yeah,
veterans that have families. How is it for
yeah.
them? You know, they got to go home, deal with their children, deal with their household stuff, and it's just like, wow, that's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. And I'm over here, a young, a young cop, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with that in the future. So if I'm dealing with this police lifestyle, the workload, and also have to go back home and now have to, worry about my kids, worry about my wife, worry about the home, that's a lot. And I just didn't want that for myself. So year 3, year 4 or 5 around there, that's when I kind of started making some moves as far as changing my lifestyle and into the real estate game and achieving that wealth path that I wanted to take. So that's when I really started hunkering down, got the knowledge, and started making some moves as far as acquiring process assets.
Got you, got you. We have a question on here. Miss Letitia, she says she needs to hear this. Can you name some specific programs? You know any programs that people can use to get their first home?
Yeah, not off the top of my head. I when I, I mean, with AI now, a simple search would be in New York, right? Just first time home buyer opportunities or grants available. And let me just stipulate that first time home buyer is just quote unquote, it's just a phrase. Um, there's a lot of different ways you could qualify as a first time home buyer, but it's just essentially, hey, there's additional programs available to cater to people that probably never purchased homes. But from one that I know, Citibank Home Run Program is one of them. I know Bank of America does a special program as well. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. And then New York State, if you're purchasing in New York State, I know they offer home buyer assistance programs as well, even grants that they have.
100%, 100%. And Letitia, if you want to get into real estate, I would say the easiest way, I mean, if you can't find any grants at all, or if you're having a hard time, just do FHA. It's 3.5% down, right? And you can purchase your first home and you can house hack. That's how a lot of investors get started. They start with an FHA loan or a conventional loan with little to no money down. Okay. Anybody have any questions on in the inner circle for the Google Meet? Let me just ask them real quick. No? Okay. So we're gonna continue, man. You remember that conversation we had when we were on the street? What was that? Was that Labor Day?
Yeah, that was Labor Day weekend. Actually, Labor Day weekend just passed. I was just remembering of our time that we were together. So, what year was that? I don't remember the year. I want to
That
say,
must have been 21, right? That must have been 21, I believe.
yeah,
We were talking about like, hey, we're leaving a job in like 5 years, but I think we ended up both leaving it around like a year later. I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
you
We
know?
couldn't wait. Couldn't wait. So yeah, yeah, we were in the street corner. That was the first time that we actually met. So we both worked in the same department within the Information Technology Bureau of the police department, but we were in different sections or units, you could say. So this was the first time that you and I, we went out together, worked Labor Day patrol overnight shift, and we were just posted up on a street corner there in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
waiting to see what's up. And then, yeah, that's when we sparked off a good conversation, and we started talking about real estate. And yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, man. I mean, that night felt it went by so quick because it seemed like um our future was kinda, like, aligned with one another, like, we're both trying to reach the same goals, right? So,
Right.
like, it kinda aligns, like, we kinda quit NYPD the same year, then we moved out of New York, we started purchasing more property. Everything kinda, like, our ways align, so
Yeah.
it's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. So what do you have in the future? Like, what are your future plans in real estate? Are you trying to do like syndications? Are you trying to do like partnerships? Can you tell us about any partnerships that you've done in the past?
Yeah, for sure. In 2020, I think it was 2022, I purchased a triplex with two partners. So that was my first partnership that I've had, and my only partnership that I've had. Well, not my only actually, but that was my first one. So yeah, we purchased a 3 unit house out in Pennsylvania, and the way we did that, we each set up our own LLC or a business entity, so like that we could combine them and then create one entity to buy or purchase that home. That house was it was a 3 unit house in Pennsylvania around Bethlehem. We purchased it for I think it was 237,000, and yeah, I mean, that was a great opportunity to learn. We were all of us, it was me and two friends of mine, really close to mine, friends, and we were all intrigued and learning about real estate. We have, prior to that purchase, we had one single family rental already
Mm,
between all three of us, right? Everybody had their own rental going on. So we wanted to kind of combine forces and see what that would get us and experience as well. So yeah, what can I say? I mean, we each created our LLC. We combined it. We created one entity. It was called Upstream Enterprises.
mm,
Upstream Enterprises then purchased that 3 unit property out in Pennsylvania, and that property, we held it for 3 years. We actually just sold it. Uh, we sold it in May, just recently. Just
nice,
sold it, and we're able to make about $80,000 profit off of that sale. So that was pretty
nice.
nice. And over the years, it did cash flow. It cash flowed about, can't even remember. I would have to go back, but it cash flowed a pretty decent number every single year. It was pretty good, and yeah, it just came to the time where, hey, let's go ahead and sell. Just a good opportunity, good timing. We were able to sell it for we bought it for 237, and we sold it for I think 327, almost 100K later.
Gotcha.
So after 3 year hold. So that was pretty nice. And what I learned from that is, hey, how do you learn? Each person has their different roles, right? It depends on how you structure the entity, on what the person is going to do. Hey, is there going to be a management asset manager? How involved do you want to be in this, or how uninvolved do you want to be, right? Do you
Mm,
want to be notified for every decision that's being made, or do you want to be more of a hands off approach and just kind of receive that you know that payout, that quarterly payout? Or leads up to another question: are we going to be receiving quarterly payouts, or are we going to be receiving monthly payouts, or are we just
mm,
going to bank in on the equity at the time of sale? And that's what we decided to do. We decided to bank on the equity at the time of sale. So we monthly or quarterly, we didn't receive any payouts. We just kind of let that cash flow repeat, reinvest back into the business, and kind of let that build up over the 3 year hold. And not only that, right? So who's also going to manage the property for us, right? Are we going to do property management, or is it going to be self-managed? And if it's going to be self-managed, how are we going to, manage those expenses in the property? So it involves a little identifying different roles and processes to kind of make that happen, but it's definitely not a bad idea. It helped us kind of combine our finances and our money together, pool money to kind of buy a bigger property and kind of get a little bit more cash flow, a little bit more proceeds afterwards. So it's
got you.
pretty nice.
Okay. All right. Cool. Cool, man. Cool. And I know that you recently um the first property that you bought, you ended up renting it out now, right? You moved out of that place and you
Yeah,
you
so I
rent it
just
now?
recently moved out of that apartment complex. I was actually there for 5 years,
Yeah.
and yeah, just got a rent at the beginning of this year. I want to say April. May. I rented out in May, and it's pretty solid now. I have a great tenant resident in there now. She loves it, and it's fantastic. It's doing well.
Got you. Got you. Okay. And this guy's if you don't if you know like if you notice or if you don't notice, this is how you get ahead in real estate. Like you kind of move from place to place if you can, and you rent out the places that you've lived, and then you go to the next spot and you kind of do the rinse and repeat cycle. I mean, that's what my wife and I did. We hopped from, place to place to place, and kept renting out the older place that we were in, and just keep upgrading your properties, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a great strategy. It doesn't work for everybody, but definitely a great strategy to implement if it's doable for you, right? You purchase your first. I mean, every single place you're gonna purchase it as a primary residence, which that alone in itself saves you some money because you're doing 3.5 to 5% down on your
Right.
down payment just because it's a primary residence. There's a lot of stipulation that you have to live there for a year. Technically, you don't. There's no law that says that you do actually have to live there for a
Mm.
year. You just have to have the intent to live there, right? So don't get caught up on like, oh, I got to be there for a year. But yeah, I mean, if you can make that happen, purchase a property, and then a year later, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years later, whenever you decide you want to move out or purchase, or you're able to purchase your next primary residence, then yeah, you can make that happen and kind of just let it snowball from there. Rent out the previous place, purchase your new primary, 5% down, live there for however X amount of time, and then you move out of there, rent that place out, and continue on. You could buy up to 4 units using a conventional primary loan, up to 4 units. So that's a big deal. That's awesome.
100. 100%, 100%. And then another thing too, you have a you have a military background, right? So you get that veterans it's like 0% down or something like that. You could buy a house.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for those that are have a military veterans home program, right? That's a big help, right, for a lot of veterans out there. And a way, if especially if you're a real estate investor, you can really maximize and leverage that benefit. So yeah, what the Veterans Home Loan Program does is you could purchase up to 4 units of a house, right? A 4 unit, you could purchase it with 0% down. So that's amazing, and that could be your primary residence. Rent out the other 3 units, 2 units, whatever you buy, anything from a single home to a duplex, triplex, or a 4 unit quadplex. So yeah, 0% down, no PMI on there, and it's
Mhm.
backed by the VA. So it's a pretty sweet deal, and it's usually tends to be on the lower side on the interest rate side, usually about half a point or half a percent of
Wow.
lower interest. So it's pretty nice.
Wow. So for all my people out there that are gonna be listening to this or are listening to this right now, if you have if you're a veteran, make sure that you are tapping into that.
Yes.
0% down on a rental property or 0% down on your primary. I mean, you can turn it into, 4 units. You can have 4 units and you can still do that 0% down. So take advantage of that, people. Definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct. And there's something else out there. A lot of people get confused that you can only use it once in your lifestyle. That's not true. You could use the VA loan multiple times throughout your life.
Kind of like a FHA loan, maybe.
Yeah.
But okay. Okay, got you. Cool, man. Cool, man. So what are you looking into now? Like, are you looking to invest in different states? I know you're in Pennsylvania, you're in New York, you're in Texas. What are you looking for in the future? Are you looking at what markets are you looking at?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm still exploring markets. So I've went from purchasing single family homes to purchasing a duplex and purchasing a triplex. I think my next goal is to purchase either a 4 unit or above.
Mm,
That's what I'm striving for now. I recently sold that, like I said, that triplex. So I have that pool of money ready to kind of deploy for the next move. And so right now I'm just strategically trying to locate what the next location. What I'm looking at right now is Oklahoma City and also in the Dallas Fort Worth area for a 4 unit or above. So that's the markets I'm targeting a little bit now, and I'm just trying to do the monopoly game, right? So
yeah.
if you play Monopoly, you buy one little house, you buy the second little house. Once you get four, you get the big red hotel. So
Right.
that's what I've been refocused on now. It's hey, I purchased a single family home. From there, I was able to purchase. I kind of skipped a little bit. I went from a single family house to a triplex and then a duplex. So,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's all the same thing, right? Single family home to a duplex, triplex. Now I'm looking to get that quadplex. And now how am I doing that? Right. So I previously said that my condo kind of helped me get to where I'm at now. And the reason I said that is because that condo 5 years later, I was able to pull out a HELOC, or a home equity line of credit.
Mm,
And what does that mean is that my condo is worth more, right? Now 5 years later, it has a higher valuation of that property, and my loan has been paid down X amount. So there's that difference in between the loan pay down and the value of the home. 5 years later, I have that amount of equity into the property. So now I'm able to go to the bank and say, "Hey, this is what my condo is worth, and this is how much I paid down. Can I get a line of credit on this equity?" And I got a HELOC, borrow that money, and I used that money as my down payment to purchase
mm,
my duplex in Yonkers, New York. And so that allows you to kind of speed and snowball, right? So now once my Yonkers property in New York, 5 years later, has that equity, I'm able to do the same thing on that property, take out a HELOC, and then I'll purchase an even bigger property, just because
right.
I'm rolling the money from one place to the other, and continuing that effect. So yeah, I'm looking to take the equities that I have in. So I have 4 different apartments right now. I'm looking to take the equity from that portfolio and then use that as my down payment to leverage for that bigger unit. And that's why Monopoly, right? That Monopoly mindset kind of helps out, because you start off small, you
Mhm.
start off simple, buying that single family, you work your way up. It may take some time, but that is slow and steady wins the race kind of mindset.
100%. And guys, that's how you get ahead in real estate. You don't use your money, you use OPM, other people's money, or the bank's money, right? Like, your equity goes up in your properties, you have the opportunity to take that equity and pour it or reinvest it into other properties. And then it becomes a snowball effect. I always say this, it becomes a snowball effect where that next property is earning equity and your old property is still earning equity. You can pull it together or refi, HELOC, 1031 exchange into more property. That's how you get ahead of the game, and that's how you kind of get out of the rat race if you want to. You pull your equity and then you reinvest it. Okay. Um, you got any word of advice for people that are someone just getting started in real estate? What advice would you give to them? Is there anything that comes to your mind?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would say that the first and foremost, right, you have to understand why you want to get into this, or what's the purpose that you're even considering this. If this is something that you're just starting off and just considering that you want to get into real estate, you really have to identify and identify what your why is, what your reasoning
Mhm.
behind it is. Why do you want to get into real estate? What's the whole purpose? What's the end game? And kind of work your way backwards, right? It's important to identify where you want to go, where you see yourself going, and kind of reverse engineer and work your way backwards, because that's going to allow you to set up the drive and determination to kind of make that success happen, and focus on that. And don't get scared. And don't, it's gonna happen. If you do get scared, no problem. It's just a matter of lack of education. So just educate yourself a little bit more. Trust people that are around you. You're not gonna know everything. I didn't know anything when I first got into my first deal. I mean, when I could read all the books there is and listen to all the podcasts, but at the end of the day, you have to take action to get that experience and exposure. And yeah, sometimes it's a risk, right? It is a risk, but that risk could lead to great rewards. So
Right, right. If you, I always say it like this, like, it's high risk, high reward, right? And also calculated risk. So if you're gonna be taking risks, make sure that you are analyzing deals correctly. Make sure that you are risking it on assets, right? So you can have a good chance to succeed. I was gonna ask you something else, bro. Um, but yeah, make sure, guys, when you get into real estate, it's about taking action. It's It's mainly about taking action and just getting into it. A lot of people have something called analysis paralysis, where they just are always analyzing deals. They just always saying, "Oh, like I like this deal over here, or I like that deal over there," but they never have enough faith or anything like that to just get into it, take action, do a FHA loan, do some sort of loan to get their first property. Okay. Another thing I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that you did a 1031 exchange in the past. Can you explain to people what a 1031 exchange is and how people can kind of like profit off of that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I actually just did a 1031 exchange last year. So that was my second partnership that I got into partnership. So they were able to roll in the funds from their sale of a co-op and then roll that into our property together in New York. And so the way that works is the 1031 allows you to defer your taxes, right? So if you sell property, and this is not a primary residence, right? This is a property that's already a rental property or an investment property. If you sell that investment property that you've had for, whatever time frame, and you make a profit off of that sell, then you get charged, or you have to pay capital gains tax, right? Long term or short term. However, in order to defer the taxes, then you could do what's called a 1031 exchange, where that allows you the proceeds from that sell of that investment property that you had. You use those funds to purchase the next investment property, or a similar like property. It doesn't have to be the same exact property. So you could go from a single family to a duplex, or you could go from a single family to a quadplex, or vice versa. It just has to be similar. So that process allows you to defer the taxes on that proceeds or that gain, and put that money into your next investment property and defer the taxes and not pay any capital gains tax. So it's about 45 days out that you have to identify your next purchase, and then you have 180 days to transact or close on your new property before there's any tax implications. So that was a great deal because the last 1031 exchange, there was a proceeds of about 100, and I think it was like 180K, and you do capital gains tax of 108K. That's a good chunk going to the IRS. But since they were able to do a 1031 deferral into the new property, then there's no capital gains tax there. So
Gotcha.
that's a
Gotcha.
beautiful thing. And you could do that and keep going on and acquiring properties that way, and keep doing 1031 exchange for your whole life, and just keep deferring taxes as you continue to increase and acquire other assets. And that doesn't just go for real estate, right? It's not just for our property houses. It could also be, let's say you have a boat and you use it as an investment, like you rent out your boat to people and you sell that boat, you buy a bigger boat. That's
Oh,
also
you can do
considered
that with other property, like
well other type of things. It doesn't just have to be real estate. It could be other type of property. So if you buy a bigger boat and you're going to rent it out, then you defer taxes on that gain, right? So anything that makes you money, you could in sessions defer the taxes, except for stocks. Can't do that with stocks. All right, it's just hard. It has to be a real asset.
okay. Okay, great, great, great. That's good, man. That's good. I didn't know that you can do that with boats and other properties and things
Yeah.
like that. That's something new. I didn't know that. Can you talk to us about IUL 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 policies and how you can tie that into your real estate? Or
Yeah,
if you did that?
for sure. So before I even touch on IUL, I'm just gonna say that, right, as you embark on this journey and you get into real estate, you start acquiring assets. It's important to protect those assets, not just liability wise, right? Not just from an LLC or for protection like that. That's important as well. But it's also a different aspect because let's say you acquiring these properties under your name, right? As you start off, you need to acquire them under your name. As you accumulate these assets, and when the time comes and the Lord says, "Hey, it's time for you to come upstairs with me," now you don't want to leave these properties under your name with a debt to your name, and now you're
Mhm.
leaving your loved ones with in a position of how to deal with these assets, right? So that's why it's then also important to either set up a trust or set up a will at a minimum to kind of identify how you're going to, how you want these assets to be divided for the time when you're no longer on this earth. And in addition to that, right, not only setting up how you want it to be divided, but you also don't want to leave that debt to your loved ones to deal with after you pass away. So this is where insurance comes into play, right? Life insurance comes into play because now if you set up a life insurance policy to be able to cover not only the debt but also any expenses that you may be leaving behind, and also uh, a death benefit that allows them to provide for your family, for your loved ones, right? So you want to take out a life insurance policy that will cover all of that, the debt that you have on your property or on your assets, the expenses that you're going to leave behind, and also supplemental income for when so they could live off on, and so they can make that adjustment. The worst thing that you could do for a family member or your loved one is you die, and then now they have to worry. Not only do they have to grieve, but now they have to worry about, hey,
Mhm.
I got this house that he had. I don't know what to do with. I have all this debt that I can't even pay for. How does he, how would they able to manage it? And so not only are they dealing with the grief, but now you just add on a whole bunch of stress to them that they probably not even aware of. So life insurance comes into real important in that structure because you want to be able to be protected for your family and loved ones. Specifically, like a whole life insurance, I'm a big fan of. Even term life insurance as well, right? It has its places, right? So it really depends on the person and your situation, term, whole life, and then like you mentioned, IUL, Index Universal Life, and that's a different type of permanent life insurance where it's based on it uses the index in the market to kind of go up and down. For those of you that don't know, a whole life insurance policy has a dividend rate that kind of gives you a guaranteed interest rate. It's usually about pretty low, 3 or 4%, but it goes up. It has a cash savings portion inside a whole life insurance policy. IUL kind of operates the same way, but this one, it's a variable rate that follows the index market, and that's what it uses. So it has a 0% floor, but it has also right like a 9% cap, so it could fluctuate anywhere between, depending on the IUL and the way it's set up, anywhere between there. So how does that tie into assets? Specifically, I use a method called infinite banking concept, because you can search to see exactly what that means. But basically, it's you're building up your own bank reserves within a life insurance policy, and you put money into it, you start building that up, you start building equity into it, into that cash portion, and then you could use those funds as your banking, moving forward, right? Instead of having to go to the bank and get a mortgage, you could go into your life insurance policy and pull out that money so you could use it as a down payment, whatever. So for IUL, yeah, it follows the index universal. You could use this very flexible. It's a death benefit attached to your policy, so it could cover any expenses that you may have, any assets, and at the same time, you're able to borrow against or use it while you're alive. So hence
Mhm.
why it's called life insurance. So you could borrow against if you're doing it for the right moves, right, for investments, assets creation. It's another strategy that you could incorporate to make that happen. Um, that's pretty much it on IULs without getting too much into the weeds. I could say a lot more on it, but I think
Yeah.
people
And
still.
another thing, guys, if you guys want to understand trust more, just look back at my Substack. I have videos on how to create a trust, things like that. So that'll help you guys out. Um, and yeah, it seems like IUL, it has a floor of zero, so it won't go negative. And I think that's what banks in the past have done. They put their investment into IUL policies because when there's a crash and all of these banks are going out of business and stuff, these banks have support from their policies. They backed it into those IUL policies. Okay, so that's very important, guys. If you guys want kind of like a long term life insurance plan and also be able to borrow your money down the road, you can do that with an IUL policy. I think that's a great policy to have. Okay. Um, I think we hit just about everything that I wanted to ask you, bro. Do you have any last comments or anything else that you want to say about real estate to
Yeah.
the people?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, real estate it encompasses so much. It could go. You could hit so many different angles. You could do fix and flips, birds, buy and holds, wholesale, hotel. There's so many different avenues to approach, right? So I would say, especially if you're just starting new, just identify, get familiar with the different avenues. Identify where you could resonate with a little bit more. What your goals are. How does it line up with what you want to achieve? And kind of just learn more about that one specific. Don't touch too much on like, okay, there's this, and that. Once you identify something, I would say keep follow suit with that plan. Whether that's a long term buy and hold, whether that's bird, which right now in this climate, I don't know, it's not impossible, but it's a little bit more difficult to
Yeah, a
do.
little difficult. Yeah.
Fix and flips, wholesaling, whatever the case may be, just follow suit and stay the course, stay the path, and don't get discouraged. You will lose money. I've lost money. Not every deal went well. But my most recent deal was the worst one. I've lost 30K in that deal. But hey, it's just part of the business, part of the process. You're gonna lose money at some point. Maybe some tenants are not making their rents. There's so many learning curves. How do you deal with that? And that's something that also is going to come with experience, exposure, and time, and surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
People that already have been in the game or have that knowledge. And I myself, I'm not an expert or anything, but I do have some experience, right? I have a few properties, bought and sold some properties. So whatever guidance and knowledge that I have, I'm able to then, spread that wisdom out to others because I learned things that I wish I knew before. I probably would have done things a little differently. So just stay the course, learn. It's okay to lose. Just get back up and keep it going, move forward. And if this is something that you want to achieve, want to make it happen, you're the only one who's going to either make it happen or stop yourself, nobody else. So
100.
let's get it.
100%. 100%, man. Man, Alex, thank you so much, bro. Thank you. Thank God for you. You've been an inspiration in my life, you know. You've been a really, really good friend. And like I said, our lives align. Like we are going through the same thing. So I thank God for meeting you because I was gonna quit NYPD before I got to ITB, but
And
God had it so that I got transferred to ITB, and then I met a long term friend in you, man,
yeah,
like
for sure.
a lifetime friend. So like I thank God for you, brother, and for your family, man. And I want to say the best luck and the best. Well, God bless you and the best to you and your family, because I know your family's growing. You got a lot of things going on, very very good things from God going
Yes.
on in your life. And I want to just say thank you, man. Thank you for being a good friend. Thank you for coming on here and explaining to the people about real estate, about your journey. And I want to ask if any of my inner circle people have any questions.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
Anybody got any questions here on the Google Meet session?
Way on that, I just want to say thank you. And yeah, man, I mean, I could say the same thing. It's been awesome to meet you and kind of walk this journey together. Different experiences, different avenues. I love when we come together and kind of just brainstorm together, kind of mix and
Yeah.
mingle and discuss different ideas. It's empowering. And when I say you got to surround yourself with the people that you want to, you want to achieve what you want to accomplish, then it's amazing. It's a powerful thing. So yeah, it's been great, man, and look forward to many more.
Yes, for sure, man, for sure. I look forward to it too. Mrs. Leslie, you have a question?
Yes. Um, Thank you, Alex, for all of the information, wisdom, and knowledge concerning the real estate. But one question I have for you: you have real estate, you have, all over the United States. Where do you reside now? What state are you in, and how do you keep up with, your business, and how do you do it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not all over the United States. So I have properties. I have a duplex in New York, a single my condo in New York, so that's two, and then I have a single family in Pennsylvania. So just those two states for now. I'm currently living in Texas. So I just moved from New York to Texas a few months ago, out here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. And yeah, I mean, how do I do it? I self-manage, right? So I have another entity that's my property management business, and they manage those properties, right? My entity. But at the end of the day, it's just me. My wife helps me, and I mean, I have a system and a process already implemented before I left New York. And that's really what it comes down to, just having the right systems and the right processes in play. So like that, when things do come up, you're able to then implement those aspects. So for example, right, if one of the residents call me, they have a situation, most common, right, a maintenance issue, um, broken toilets, everybody hear that, right? At the end of the
Yeah.
day, they send me a message, no problem. I'll see it when I see it. And then I contact my handyman. I tell my handyman, go check it out. They let me know exactly what's going on, and they fix the situation for me, right? I have reserves that are already accounted for maintenance, and I pay them to take care of that situation. Same thing. Let's say right now, I'm actually going through it right now. There's a vacant apartment that I have. I'm in Texas. I'm not gonna be out there showing it. So I have a realtor who goes, I line them up. Hey, I have this vacant apartment. Let's get it rented. She goes and takes care of the work for me. You know, she finds the tenant, shows the apartment. So it's all about having those systems and processes in place. So like that, I am the most hands-off property manager that I can be. So like that, I could focus on the things. So yeah, it's just a good system and process to have it in play. And we could discuss if you have any questions. But that's something that you worry about after you're in closing on your first property. Yeah, that's not a
Right.
worry. That's not something to worry about. It's not a big issue. It's actually easier because your realtor is gonna help you set up those contacts to set up those systems and processes, right? So I use my realtor to send me, hey, who's your handyman person? Who's your go-to handyman? Hey, who's your go-to for this person? And your realtor is going to be able to help you with those contacts and get that set up. So that's the last part of the process. Don't let that worry you too much.
Yeah. 100%.
Right.
I agree. I agree.
Lori, can I ask a question real
This is
quick when you guys are
Mrs.
finished
Lauren
with
has
that?
a question.
Oh, I do have a question. You were talking about the LLCs, and I wanted to know if you did have to go and get separate LLCs to start buying property.
Good question. That's a good
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
Alex, you
good
want to take that?
question. I say it's a simple no. You do not. You don't need an LLC to start buying properties. You could buy properties in your own name. As fact, that's going to be your easiest way to start buying properties.
Yeah.
Because if you buy a property under a business, you're going to be required to put 20 to 25% down. And that's just, if you're starting off, that's just sometimes not reasonable, especially in New York. So no,
100.
you don't need an LLC. Just start buying properties in your name to do primary residence, 5% down. It will be the best way. If you are going to have to put down 20%, right? If you're gonna off the rip buy an investment property and not a primary resident, then it doesn't hurt to set up an LLC to buy the property in an LLC. It's not a bad
Right.
idea.
Right. And yeah, that's so true, Alex. Like, to add on to that, like that's how we got started. We put property in our name because you can only do that. You can only do a FHA and get 3.5% down. You can't do that if you put it in your LLC.
Correct.
So what you do is you keep purchasing conventional FHA, things like that, low percent down, and then when the time is right, when you want to refi or when you want to pull equity out, then you can put those properties into a LLC, and that's how you get around paying the 20% down. That's kind of how we did it. Okay,
Yes.
so you don't need an LLC to get started in real estate. It helps if you want to get like business credit. If you want to later down the road put your properties in that LLC, that helps. But when you first get started, start out, put it in your name and get high debt. So God forbid anybody wants to sue you or anything like that. The property is full of debt, so they can't get anything from you, right? And then after that, then you go put it in LLCs, put it in trusts, so that you can be kind of like you can be safe. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody got any other questions on the inner circle? Anything else? No? Any comments?
I'll say this. I mean, you just said high debt. Well, hold up. Dave Ramsey says debt is bad. So what are you talking about here? I don't know. A lot of people, it could be hit or miss. So what do you say to that?
Me, I say good, this stuff called good debt, and the only way to get ahead um in finances is like quickly is to use good debt. If you don't use good debt, you're going to be trying to save, and it's going to take you almost a lifetime to purchase one property. So in America, we have that advantage of using good debt, right? Use good debt to rent out your properties, get cash flow, um, get cash flow, and to also um, like pay the banks back.
Yeah.
And you're building equity, you're building wealth with good debt. Okay. Someone had a question about management and planning. How do you manage your properties and like how do you plan? Do you use any like applications that help you manage your properties?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I use Stessa for my bookkeeping and tracking. So all expenses, all income goes into this bookkeeping software on Stessa. It's an online base. It's automatically connected to my bank account, so I can see that. I just generate reports. So that's pretty simple. I use apartments.com to collect my rent from my tenants. So people pay there. It's already automatically set up for them. I actually strongly encouraged for them to set up an automatic transfer for rent payments so like that they're never late.
Mm,
And
okay.
so I use that. What else? I use Empower for my personal dashboard so I could see and track my personal expenses and also combine with my business expenses. So helps me manage that a little bit better. Gives me nice graphs and reports and be held accountable to certain things. So, but my main tool. There's another new app that I like too. It's called Baselane Banking. Great. They
Oh,
have
baseline, yeah.
yeah, it's a property management and a bank all in one, which is fantastic. So they're slowly becoming bigger. But yeah, simple applications. That's all I use.
Gotcha. And so you collect through apartments.com. So and we collect through like Zelle, and then it goes to the business account. But is there an advantage of just getting it collected through apartments.com compared to getting it getting it paid through Zelle or through Venmo or whatever?
So, so at the end of the day, I think it's personal based, it's preference. I, for one, don't want to have to remind my residents for them to pay rent, right? Unfortunately, some people just don't remember. So apartments.com takes care of that for me. They get monthly reminders of when rent is due. It allows the residents to set up automatic payments so like that they don't have to worry about remembering and also maybe not paying any late fees. So that's what I like about that feature that, I automatically collects it for me. It goes into my bank account and they handle all the transaction on the back end. So it's pretty nice.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
And then what it allows too is allows the resident to pay directly from their checking account. Also allows them to pay via credit card if they need to. So multiple options.
Okay. Gotcha.
And and there's no fee for them. So no fee for them, no fee for me. So it works out in great.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the way to go, man. Because like when you scale up, you don't want to be, asking your tenants, "Hey, can you pay your rent?" If they forget. Like
Right.
it gets to a point where it's like, you know, you have you have, you know, um, uh, maybe a lot of tenants, and then you
Yeah.
have to go through that process of reminding them when you can just use, some tools like apartments.com. It
Yeah.
does the automatic, notifications, things like that. And it
For
makes
sure.
it streamlines it. It makes it easier.
For sure. And then if they are late, it automatically adds the late fee.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Okay. And you said you wanna get into like commercial. Is that something that you look into like soon?
Yeah, yeah. So my next thing is going to be commercial properties. And when I say commercial, I'm looking commercial is 5 units or up or more. And so the way I'm thinking about doing something like that is once I identify property, maybe, you know, give up other people opportunities to kind of invest as well, right? Maybe they're a little nervous or unsure how to get into it. So that's something that I'm looking to provide back, give back to the community where I find the deal, I underwrite the deal, and then allow others who want to get into real estate but not really sure where to start to come in and work with me, right? So invest with me in that deal in that commercial property, so like that they could see a return, start seeing the process, see how it works, and that's my next venture. That's what I want to start providing back into the community, to people who want to get in the game and just really kind of like I'm not really sure, and just maybe or even don't have the time to do it. Right, they're working their 9 to 5. They don't have the time to kind of dedicate towards looking at real estate, understanding real estate, or underwriting the deal, or wanting to deal with those calls or dealing with the back end stuff. So that's what I'm looking to get into next. So commercial deals provide those opportunities to others who want to invest, and we could all start working together and get into real estate all together. So yeah, it'd be awesome.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Well, my wife and I know it's coming up on 8, and I like to keep it at an hour. But my wife and I, we will be rolling out something new, in the beginning of next year, where we're gonna build on our land that we have, in New York, and it's gonna be commercial. It's gonna be
Thanks.
a 9 unit. So, um, if any of my people in the inner circle want to invest, or if any of my friends and family want to invest, I think it would be a perfect opportunity. So we're going back and forth with the planning and development, right now,
It's awesome.
and then we can get the ball rolling with that commercial property. And I figured, we already have it. We already have that property. We've had it for 3 years, but we haven't put anything on it, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and it's already, it's a mixed use space zoning. So I think it's a perfect opportunity, to for people to invest, for family and friends to invest.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I remember you kind of mentioning that before, so that's awesome that you guys are looking for that path and pursue that. So I think that'll be pretty solid. You already have the land there. If you separate the lot, even better. And then
Yeah.
cost to build, now it'll be great.
Yeah, 100, 100. Well, it's at 8 o'clock, man, and I want to thank you again, brother, for coming on here, for all of the Substack, and for my inner circle. We really appreciate you, man. We appreciate your knowledge, and we just want to thank God, for everyone, here on the line, for the people that are gonna listen, and we know that we do everything, and we get everything from God, so we give Him the praise, the glory, and honor for all of the things that we're able to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Um, any last words before we conclude?
No, just thank you for listening, and I hope I was able to spark some wisdom and knowledge to those that are here watching today. And yeah, always available. Feel free to reach out. I love to talk about this stuff, so it's awesome.
Gotcha, man. Gotcha, man. Well, God bless you, brother. And well, I guess we're gonna get on the line after this and talk, or we'll talk probably tomorrow or whenever, man. But like I said, God bless you, and thank you for coming on. Thank you for all my Substackers being here. Thank you for my inner circle being here. And we're gonna call it a night, guys. You guys have a great night.
Sounds good.
God
Have a
bless.
good night.
All right, later.